Доброго вечора або ранку, шановні друзі. Я дуже вдячна організаторам Science, особливо Олені та Алі, за цю можливість бути разом з вами і прийняти участь у цій конференції, хоча й віртуально. Ми вся наша українська діаспора кожного ранку прокидається та кожного вечора засипає з думками про Україну. Ми хвилюємося за вас, ми пишаємося вами, і ми всі сподіваємося, що ця клята війна скоро закінчиться. І майбутнє у нашої країни найкраще. Україна залишиться вільною, Україна буде найсильнішою країною у Європі, я щиро цього бажаю. А зараз дозвольте мені поділитися думками, як ми вчені можемо допомогти відбудувати економіку нашої країни, як ми можемо зробити нашу науку найсильнішою. Оскільки наша аудиторія також англомовна, дозвольте мені перейти на англійську мову, і решту цієї презентації буде на англійську. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Polína Lішко, and I'm currently a faculty and professor of cell biology and physiology at Washington University in St-Louis School of Medicine. I would like to share with you my thoughts today, how Ukrainian scientists, how global scientists can help Ukraine to build new paths to innovation, to invigorate Ukrainian science, and share with you some experience and skills I have acquired. I was born in Ukraine. I'm from Kiev, and I graduated from Taras Shevchenko International University in Kiev and worked in the Bogomolets Institute of Physiology until 2000. And since 2000, I continued my scientific journey, initially at Harvard Medical School, then Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and eventually at the University of California, San Francisco. In 2012, I started my independent research laboratory at University of California, Berkeley, where I have been until last year. And since the beginning of this year, my research team, my laboratory, we moved to Washington University in St-Louis School of Medicine. The research in this is our lab currently, and our team. We are celebrating someone's birthday here. And our research, we move in three parallel but slightly different directions. We work in a field of reproductive biology, and particularly trying to understand the molecular basis of male and female reproduction, fertility and infertility, the practical application of this direction to understand why infertility happens, how we can prevent, how we can treat it, as well as develop new generation of contraceptive tools. Additionally, since my background is in neuroscience, we also working in the field of understanding molecular basis of different age-related diseases, such as loss of vision, blindness, and how we can find new therapeutic tools to prevent diseases such as age-related macular degeneration. Additionally, we are also working in a direction to understand molecular mechanisms of healthy aging and preventing certain neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. In a translational direction, our research has been translated into 3 different startup companies. In 2018, I co-founded Your Choice Therapeutics, which is now an independent company, and they're moving into direction to develop new generation of non-hormonal male and female contraceptives. Additionally, in 2021, I started a Biotalk, another startup company, to develop treatment against age-related macular degeneration, which is the leading cause of blindness in people over 60. I also was part of helping to launch another startup, Equator Therapeutics, in 2020, which is right now working in developing small molecule new generation of drugs to restore natural heat production and treat metabolic disorders such as obesity, diabetes, and polycystic ovary disorders. For the work in this realm, I have been awarded Mak-Артурів Award, which is one of the prestigious awards that not only recognize our research, but also is very helpful for the field of reproductive biology and indication that this field is important. So I hope by now I was able to convince you that I have some experience in both academic field as well as translational application. And I want to share with you why it's important to translate your research, why it is important often to start working in a startup direction, and how this movement can help to strengthen not only science but also economy around you. And I want to show you, tell you about two examples, two success stories. One success story is from our neighbors. The Fermentas. Fermentas was a leading Lithuanian startup company which started in Vilnius and initially on the basis of Institute of Enzymology. And they decided to, as initially a small startup company, to produce small molecular biology tools such as restriction enzymes and DNA leather. And they manufactured those tools at a very high quality, and the quality of their product was superior to anything on the market and also was more affordable. So one by one, research group worldwide decided to switch to Fermentas products and buy it from them instead of from their competitors. That led to huge success in Fermentas, which became from the small startup company to the almost global producers of the small molecular biology tools. And it was acquired by this giant Thermo Fisher Scientific Group in 2010 for $260 million, which was the largest biotech commercial deal in Lithuania at that time. And not only that great success, but Thermo Fisher created the Thermo Fisher Vilnius site, which you can see picture here. And right now it's a leading research and development center, which employed almost 1,900 people, provided huge boost to the Lithuanian economy, and is a fertile ground, is an incubator, provides another startup company who now look at Fermentas as a success story, and everyone wants to be like Fermentas. So not only Fermentas became successful as a startup itself, but it invigorated Lithuanian economy and created new working spaces and ground for new startups. So essentially created an expansion in Lithuanian biotech. I think Ukrainian can do the same, if not better. And we have our success example as well. Enamine is a Ukrainian biotech which was founded in 1991 by chemists, and it's a chemist group. So what Enamine does, they're located in Kiev. They generate the essentially driving force to synthesize the different chemical compounds. They generate library of chemical compounds, which is absolutely required tool for any drug discovery pipeline. So for example, if you want to develop a new generation of anti-cancer drug, you need to screen hundreds of thousands of chemical compounds to find the compound which has efficacy, is safe, and works as intended. So you need a library, a number of those 100,000 compounds, a high quality, purchased from someone, so you can start the drug screening. And I mean, it's a company which does it. But right now, you can ask any drug developer in the world to name a company you can buy high quality chemical library screening, and they will name the two. One would be Chinese company WuXi, and another would be Enamine. It's a globally known company which created by producing affordable and high quality products. They are able to reach the global market and be globally recognized successful startup company. So, what are potential direction Ukrainian science and its entrepreneurial direction can take? Well, biotechnology is an obvious one, and there could be, as example, as Fermentas, and I mean, it could be also a contract research organization or CRO path, which means that CRO is a small research group that develops products or provides services to other startup or larger biopharma market, European or global. And they can do drug screening, they could develop new tools. Why CRO is absolutely vital at the early stage of the startup development, because they have experience and capability and high quality to often do research for you, which you cannot do in your startup because you don't have certain tools. The medical startup is another pathway, is a fertility clinic, it's a diagnostic, and as well as developing functional and better prosthetics, which unfortunately many in our country need. Agrarian technology, no-brainer. Ukraine is historically fertile agricultural land. We have fertile agricultural land, and organic agriculture, especially new, safe, and advanced technology to boost crop production while preserving the land by preventing poisoning the land with different chemicals, is a path to boost our agrarian sector. Ukraine could be among global leaders in this direction and provide fertile, literally fertile playground to develop this new technology, which many countries are now desperately need. Okay, so what needs to be done? Well, there are certain roadblocks we need to overcome and certain pitfalls we have to understand. Of course, the startups need a safe place to operate. To build a startup, you need expensive equipment, you need human talents, and to build this whole enterprise, you need a safe place, which is sometimes hardly compatible with warfare situation. So of course, some places in Ukraine which are hopefully not going to be, attacked in the next foreseeable future, would be great to start building those enterprises. The initial investment in education. Need to know how to launch a startup to be successful. So people who have done it before, successful startup entrepreneurs could provide their knowledge, share their experience with new generation to start building the Ukrainians. That's why mentoring, networking, communication is very important, especially with your peers worldwide, and support from government organizations. There should be strong patent law, intellectual property protection, and funding, which often comes from a variety of sources. Speaking about funding. So to build a startup, you not only need research and development, you not only need your bright idea, which you created in the lab, you also need to know how to commercialize this idea. And we also need to fundraise, you need to create enough budget, so significant budget to support you for the next 5-10 years of existence. So 50% of your time will be spent on fundraising. And assembling the functional team is extremely important. Some founders joke that finding right people for your startup is often more important than marriage. And it's really important to be completely 100%, to have completely 100% trust in your team, because those are people who go in with you on this perilous journey, and you need to be absolutely, it's like your, person you trust with your life, essentially. So what are the 4 pillars of successful fundraising? You can read more details from forbes.com, which have a lot of educational tools in this landscape. Well, originality is important, right? You need to clearly define your product to make sure why it's unique, what makes it different from anything else on the market. Why is it better? You need to build a strong business plan, right? Nothing is going to be working without business plan. It's almost like you're planning your vacation, right? You know exactly where you want to go, how to get there. It's the same thing. You have to plan your strategy very well. So concrete goals, detailed steps, an outline of everything from the product development, sales, staffing, your team. You need to understand your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and strengths, known as the WOT. The execution. You need to prove for people who are going to invest in why you are the right person for the job. So you can either mention your previous success. If you have founded startups before, then it's easy for you to fundraise next time. Or you can show how excellent your team is, how wonderful those people are, that they're able to achieve the greatness. And stability, you need to have a clear budget which supports your existence for the next 5, 10, or even more years. Because without the stable, nicely planned budget, it's very hard to fly over the so-called valley of death. What is the valley of death? The value of death is a general term. It's basically from the time when you have the right idea, from the time you basically incorporate your startup company, to the time when start to develop the product and sell this product and create a revenue, right? So that basically time when you're going to spend a lot of money and you're going to basically probably suffer, maybe not, but this is time the flyover valley of death when your expenses are going to be high. So what are the expenses are going to be? Research and development. You need to keep your research going. You need to pay your staff. You need to pay CROs. You need to move your research forward. The technology transfer term, what is that? So most of the time, their research is developed in the universities, right? In the either universities or institutions, and they're going to own your intellectual property, and that's how it's in the United States right now. So, which means that your intellectual property rights are likely going to belong to universities, and you need to purchase it from them. You need to license your IP, intellectual property, from the university. So you need to know how to do this. You need product launch, so you need to spend some funds to develop your product, to learn the market, and reach the success, to reach the commercialization stage. And to help you move forward, you can rely on different tools such as incubators as well. Okay, so building a startup, what kind of fundings are there? There's two types of fundings, non-diluted fundings and diluted fundings, right? So non-diluted fundings, usually governmental organizations, right? So in the United States, we have this small business innovation research funds, as well as small business technology transfer program, which is known as SBR and CTR, which startups company can apply for and receive between $200 or sometimes even up to $1 million. And it's absolutely non-dilutive, which means no strings attached. The government gives you funds for you to build a startup. Governments take nothing back. They don't take anything from your company, but they give you these grants to move your research into translational realm. The diluted fundings is slightly different. The diluted fundings means you receive money from the venture capitalists, VCs, incubators. I will tell about the incubators in a second. The angel investors, but usually those partners will take something from you. Will take some kind of equity. And the angel investors are usually a high net worth individual. It could be your relative, it could be your friend, it could be a person you know very well, who fund startups in the early stage, often with their own money. And they will be your primary source of funding initially. And average, it says, to start a successful startup, you need at least in the United States, $100,000 plus minus. And that money could come from the angel investors. These angel investors, usually are risky, and usually they represent more than 10% of the angel investor portfolio, which means the angel investor cannot fund a lot of startups company, or maybe a few. Okay, so I would like to tell you about incubators and how cool the incubators are. So, Y Combinator, what is Y Combinator? It's one of the examples of the very successful incubator, which is responsible for supporting many startups who are now well-known companies. And there is just a list of some of the 50 most successful startups. You probably recognize some names. Some of them are Ukrainian startups. So incubators is essentially a university for startups. Incubator is a place a group which will give startups a certain amount of funds and will provide educational platform how to make the startup successful. So Y Combinator is located in Silicon Valley, and they support, fund, and help startups to grow globally. You don't need to be in the United States. You don't need to be in the Silicon Valley to apply for Y Combinator. They have very easy application route. You just create 1-minute YouTube video why your invention, why your products is super awesome. And then you do an application online. And if you're selected, it's a highly selected, highly competitive process. But if you're selected, you will be given right now about $500,000. And you will need to attend a 3-month-long course where Y Combinator will teach you how to become successful. And at the end of the course, they will pair you up with their selected number of venture capitalists and other investors who will invest more into your startup and help you to grow successfully. Y Combinator will take a small amount of equity from your company. That's what incubators do, but they're not predatory incubators. They actually want you to succeed. So that's why I highly suggest you to look at the incubators like Y Combinator if you plan to build your successful startup. 2 of the startups I have been part of creating went through the Y Combinator with great success. Okay, so building a startup, what you need to consider, place to operate. First of all, you need an independent space to develop your product. Why is that? Because of the IP, intellectual property. Most of the time here in the United States, you do your research in the university, you do research in the research lab, in the institution, which means that wherever your research has been done, that place is going to own intellectual property. So if you want to develop as a company your own product, you need a separate space. That's why, Google started in a garage, in a private residence. Well, you cannot build a research lab in a garage, right? So you need a laboratory, which is not associated with a university or institute, to start developing your product. And that place often could be provided by incubators. You also need to find a good patent law firm. So why do you need that? Because of the intellectual property. You need to basically secure your invention with a good, strong patent. And this patent needs to be operational not only in your country, but also globally, United States, Asian market, European market. Why is it important? For example, if you develop a new generation of anti-cancer drug, and let's say you found this chemical, wonderful compound, which kills cancer cells, and you're going to tell the world about this compound, and you kind of patent that this compound is great anti-cancer drug. Your patent could be invalidated by your competitors if they, for example, take your compound, mix it with something else, like, with glucose, right? And start selling this product using your compound, but their own addition. If they mix it with something, they created a new product, and they can patent it and basically steal your invention. So that's why when you patent your invention, you need to make sure, and that patent law firm can help you with, that you oversees all potential combinations this product can be combined with. So no one would steal your invention or invalidate your patent. Product development and market research, what is going to be? Who are your customers going to be? Are they going to buy it? Is your drug is going to be a pill, an injection, a cream, and whether market is going to buy the product in a way you intended to sell it. Often, the most vulnerable invention didn't go into the market because developers did not think about the actual final product. Well, slide deck. You need to raise money. You need to present your research in a nice, strong, like PowerPoint presentation to tell your potential investors why your product is awesome, unique, and why they need to invest. It needs not to be long, but it needs to be very informative. And you need to understand terminology. Like just one of the example, if you're building a startup and do a market research, you need to understand the difference between this some, so what are they? So the smallest number of people you would be able to reach with your product, known as service obtainable market. This is known as S4M. This is the market you're going to capture immediately, right now within your city, your neighborhood, or your district. However, this market is going to grow, and service available market going to be a portion of the market you can acquire based on your business, your targets, and the projection. And of course, there is a total addressable market, like a global market. And you need to show the potential growth that your product is going to hit global production. That will make it very profitable for investors. Let me explain it on with that example. For example, if you're developing a drug like eye drops, which should treat age-related macular degeneration, or AMD, to prevent blindness. But we know that unfortunately number of patients are going to rise, and from 2015, from the past 2015, there's 11 million patients in the United States, and it's going to reach up to 22 million patients in the United States in the next 40 years. So currently, we have about 7 million patients with a certain form of AMD, which this eye drop could be could provide benefits. However, there is a multiple form of age-related macular degeneration, and potentially the SAM, the service available market, would reach 11 million patients in the United States. However, if you talk globally, if you look at the potential global population, and by 2024, unfortunately, 170 million people globally would need this treatment. And you can project how many people would need this treatment, how much revenue your potential therapy would generate. That numbers are very attractive to investors, and that's what you need to show in your research presentation, in your slide presentation. So, drug discovery pipeline. There are multiple steps you need to be aware of. Well, basic research. Basic research is a target-based approach. The target-based approach, or cell-based approach, this is what you do in your lab, right? This is a preclinical research. You need to find your molecule, or the target this molecule binds to, or the cell, the tissue you work on. And once you find those active components, you may, for example, develop a compound which should be further optimized. You go into discovery translational phase. You need to screen for more compounds to find maybe a better one. You need to optimize this compound to make sure it has bioavailability. It's safe, because you also need to test it on animals before this drug is introduced to humans. And once all these check marks are reached, right, you go into human trials. You go to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1, making sure the drug is safe. And actually, this combination of the drug is safe and doesn't produce any side effects. The phase 2 is when you actually make sure that it doesn't produce long-term side effects. Phase 3 is when actually you prove that your drug works as intended, and so on and so on. And eventually you need to reach manufacturing to reach as many patients, as many customers as you need. So to sum this up, startup culture, working in the startup realm, building startup, provides fertile ground for strong economy, as I hope I explain or prove to you based on the example. It fosters innovation, it fosters product development. You make stuff that people want to buy. This is extremely psychologically rewarding. This workplace is competitive. It's not a safe realm of academia when you can have all time you need in your world. In fact, it says that in academia you often don't have funds, but you have a lot of time. And in industry, it's opposite. You have funds, you will fundraise, but you don't have enough time, because there are always competitors. There are always people who would like to do better than you, and you need to stay on top. And the team works first. You cannot build good startup without a strong team, without support of your peers and people around you. So, why startup fails? That's a sad slide, but it's educational slide. First, lack of capital. People don't plan, often don't generate enough funds to support them through this valley of death. Often they do this mistake about expanding too soon. Sometimes they raise this money, they have enough means to move, and they have this great program to develop, and they decided to expand. Okay, let's open another branch somewhere in another country. Let's do this, and this. Let's hire tons of other people. Let's rent this fancy workplace. Don't do this if your funds don't support it. You need to have a safe net for the next, 4 or 5 years. Debt financing. Often, if you don't have enough money, you can lend, you can go to the bank and ask for certain loan support your business. And often this loan is given if you kind of give some collaterals like your own house. This is a risky pathway because if you fail, and 90% of startups fail, you lose a lot. For strategic management, again, you did not count who on the team is going to be, who your partners is going to be. You diluted yourself too much. You give your equity to many, many other organizations, which will make your startup less attractive to other investors. Or no business plan. Again, remember, you plan your startup's journey as you plan your vacation, as you plan your next move. You need to be very, very aware of what you're going to do in the next 5 years. Okay, to sum this up, well, Ukrainian biotech, I see very bright future. I see a very strong economy if we move in this direction as well in our academic basic science direction. Ukraine is blessed with enormous human power, highly educated population, modern multilingual society. Ukrainian people are resilient. They have strong innovation potential. And of course, they have global support and professional networking between scientists. We all want to help you. We all want to see strong Ukraine. So with that, I would like to wrap up my presentation and ask any questions you want. Thank you for your time.